What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We're checking out the brand new teaser trailer for Dune Part 3. Listen, I know a lot of people are going to be like, finally, I've been waiting. It's about time. Where have you been? Why haven't you done these? I was in Amsterdam. I literally just got off the flight like 10 hours ago. So we're getting, it's a little late. Relax. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's just building up the hype and anticipation for one of our most anticipated movies of the year. December 18th is going to be crazy, y'all. Dune Part 3 and Avengers Doomsday on the same day. Good luck to whoever wins that battle. But at the box office, but us fans are going to be eating real good.
I mean, you know who's going to win? We are. We are going to win.
Right.
Yeah.
We have uncut watch-alongs for Dune on Patreon. You should check those out. We might have to revisit Dune Part 2 before we check before we see this movie. Just as a little refresh.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, and Hector, I know you read. Did you read all three over the first three books, or just the first one?
No, I just read the first book, just the first one. And I think I'm also going to wait for now Dune Messiah before I read Dune Messiah.
Yeah.
And I think we've heard that like Denis Villeneuve's probably done after this third one. I don't know how committed Warner Brothers is. I'm sorry, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Paramount, Netflix. I apologize. It's the whole kit and caboodle. I don't know how committed the Ellison family is going to be making all the rest of the Frank Herbert Dune movies. We shall see. We'll see there. So after Dune Messiah, and with those Hans Zimmer soundtracks in my iPod, then I might go off and read the whole book series on my own. That was kind of my plan, but I think I want to wait to see Messiah in theaters because I don't want to know what's going to happen. And I knew what was going to happen with the first two Dune films because I have read the book, but I'm also reading Sisterhood of Dune right now by Frank Herbert's son. That was the inspiration-ish for the Dune Prophecy show, which like we saw and I enjoyed. It's not my favorite TV show of all time, but like
it
was okay. They really stuck the landing. It was okay, and like it's also very dry. It's as dry as Arrakis, dude. Like you got to be in the right place to get into that. The Dune Prophecy show came out because I am using in my imagination some of those visuals as they're talking about like the war with the machines. I'm like, yeah, actually we saw some of that in Dune Prophecy. Cool, sick. And then having the from the Denis Villeneuve movies, they are gorgeous. I have one of the art books and I need to get the other one. Those are also fantastic. And I'm planning to, probably before Messiah comes out, I'm planning to reread the first Dune book. And then I'll be, I feel like I'm really super prepped for, I keep calling it Dune Messiah because that's what this is, but this is Dune Part 3 is what they're calling it. Offend anybody. They don't want to freak anybody out, but it's the Messiah.
Real quick, before is there going to be a Part 4, do you think, Hector? Because you've kind of know the story. Do you think there might be a Part 4?
I think we can talk more after we see this trailer, but from what I know, I have a general idea of what the deal is with Dune Messiah, and then books 4 through 9, whatever it was that Frank Herbert wrote before he passed away. I guess it's dependent on a bunch of different factors, but like everybody was like, oh dude, if they get to Messiah, that's the best one. Everyone was like, let's just get to Part 3. Let's just get to this movie. Because this one is the crazy, insane one.
All right. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
If we have a girl, what will we name her?
Damn, dude.
Her name should be Ganima.
Zendaya's gonna have a good year.
She would need to be strong.
Her and Robert Pattinson.
Like her mother. What if it's a boy?
I would name him Leto.
Leto.
So he would have the wisdom of his grandfather.
So good, dude.
War feeds on itself.
Oh, damn. All right, Hans Zimmer.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I fight. The more our enemies fight back.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Dang, it's the bat.
Protect my family.
Okay.
Oh, damn. Look at that.
Whoa.
Those costumes are incredible.
Your father never started a war.
Hell yeah.
What? Oh my god. I got goosebumps, y'all.
Oh, that was the young sister grown up.
Yo.
what's up.
Oh shit. Danny California's back.
I'm not afraid to die.
God damn.
But I must not die.
Doing ballet.
Yet.
Hell of a trailer.
Jesus. God
Oh my
damn.
God. Pound, 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 pound.
Very nice.
Crazy.
I was-
insane.
crazy.
I was surprised to see when I was on the website earlier downloading the trailer that Brian K. Vaughan is a co-screenwriter of the script.
Yo.
'Cause John
This
Spates
is-
did the first
Oh.
two. So I was like, oh, that's very
Yeah.
cool that Brian K. Vaughan, I had no idea that he was working on it at all.
Yep.
So that is very, very
mean,
cool.
Yeah.
Truly, just to give people an idea from like the comic book world, is one
Mhm.
of the best comic book writers ever. Like,
Yeah.
it wrote Saga, wrote
Mhm.
some of the most beloved runs of superhero characters, created the Runaways, which is one of the best
Yeah.
Marvel comics and best set of new Marvel characters. Is a fantastic writer. Has worked in television, has worked in film. So that's
Mhm.
really exciting, dude. But this trailer is just like special effects stuff aside, I'm always really impressed when a trailer feels like it's all practical in the camera, in the shot. It's just like
Oh, yeah.
all of these shots look like I'm sure they're full of computer generated enhancements, but they look like,
Absolutely.
yeah, dude, they just went out to the desert in Jordan or wherever they filmed the first few movies.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just it's like just a shot of the sun or just a shot of the
Right.
moon over the sky. And I'm like, this stuff looks stunning, dude. Every time I rewatch these two Dune movies, it's like I forget how impressive the design of it all is. And then I
Yeah.
see this trailer and I'm like,
Yeah.
it just knocks me on my ass, dude. I'm like, the design, every part of this, the way it is designed, the costumes,
Yeah.
the makeup, the effects, the architecture, the spaceships, it's just like, it feels unlike any movie ever made. It's so
Mhm.
crazy, dude. It really feels like this is a sci-fi world that you have not seen. And that's so hard to do. That's
Yeah.
so hard to do in the year of our Lord 2026, talking about, hey, here's a sci-fi thing you've never I haven't seen it yet, but I really am looking forward to Project Hail Mary. And it's
Oh.
difficult not to detach
Yeah.
that from like, oh, it looks a little bit like Interstellar. It looks like The Martian. It
Mhm.
looks like this. It looks
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
because I know it's supposed to be kind of realistic-ish sci-fi, but it's, it is so difficult to do
Here's a question for you
visuals
guys.
that are new. Yeah.
Because I agree with you, Hector. And we also rave about Avatar and
Yeah.
James Cameron's world, about how
Yeah.
beautiful and scenic and amazing that looks.
Mhm.
For some reason, this feels completely fresh and new in a way that Avatar doesn't. But it's really weird because Avatar is a world that we've never seen before,
Right.
And so
Yeah.
this movie's kind of falling in a place that, like, I agree 100% with you, Hector, because this sci-fi feels human futuristic. I guess that's what I'm
Yep.
seeing, like human futuristic.
Yep.
I could see humans evolving to this level of tech, evolving to this type of society, like this type of stuff happening. Whereas Avatar is a completely alien world, right? You have Na'vi and animals that you've never seen before,
Yeah, right,
and everything.
right.
And it's just, and this is not even a knock to Avatar, because I think Avatar does have some of the most stunning visuals of anything we've ever seen with human eyeballs. But there's a certain quality about this that just feels so, like, I feel like I'm breathing in dust whenever I'm watching these things. Like, I feel like I'm gonna get sand between my toes, like, it's just it's so well thought out, and it's so unique, and it's just like so kind of raw. I don't know how to describe it. It's beautiful though. It's so unique in itself, and that's what I applaud it for.
I want to give it all of its credit where credit is due. I also want to say that like David Lynch did a version of Dune in the 80s that is like really weird, and maybe we should watch it because I think
I
a
would
lot
love
of it
to.
is
I love
really,
it.
it's a lot of it is absolutely praiseworthy, and a lot of it I don't think works and doesn't quite hold up and all of that. But like he had the same challenge, which was basically what we're talking about is it's not just a sci-fi world. It's not just sci-fi like Star Trek, which is like a few hundred years from now, or Avatar, which is also a few hundred years from now. But it's even if it's on Pandora, all of the human stuff, the sort of design and implementation of like human tools and vehicles and society and all the bad industrialization, that all has to feel somewhat relatively familiar because it's like, oh, it's us a couple of hundred years from now. This is the sci-fi that literally is like 10,000 years from now. Yeah. What will human beings do, sound, dress like, talk like? You know, it's that kind of shit that like Lynch really attempted a lot of it with his 80s film. Like I said, I think a lot of it is worthwhile and absolutely like praiseworthy. So I don't want to say that Denis Villeneuve and team had nothing to go on. Like I'm sure they looked at that. I'm sure they looked at the sci-fi television channels Dune miniseries that they did like 20 years ago or something, like in the 2000s or whatever. Like there have been visual representations of the Dune universe. You know, even the cover artists were influential to Denis Villeneuve. Like the covers that he looked at as a kid, as a teenager, with the striking blue eyes when they were on the spice melange. And he was like, I want my movie to look like this. But there is something so unique about to give this production team and all the artists and all the designers, like their flowers. It's just fucking mind blowing that it does feel like, oh yeah, but this is humanity 10,000 years from now, which is insane to think about. So this trailer is just fantastic, dude. It's so good. And the only thing that's disappointing for me is it's probably not going to be in 3D because the second one wasn't. No. And they're probably just like, no, we're not going to spend $15 million or whatever. Because dude, that first one is dope in 3D. It's so cool.
Very
it's
good.
So
it
cool.
is good. I think the thing that I also am intrigued and like appreciate is, well, first of all, I think the other thing to point out too about the way Denis Villeneuve makes movies, in a lot of ways, it's similar to filmmakers like Spielberg and Christopher Nolan, especially, where he tries to capture as much in camera as he possibly can, right? Like pushing the production to the point where let's try to get as much as we can and as much reference as we can for the visual effects artists and give them as much time as they need to really craft these amazing shots that can seamlessly cut into the live action footage. I think that's something that a lot of movies that are parts of these bigger franchises sometimes like either they don't have the luxury of, or they just don't give themselves enough time to, is to really meticulously make everything seamlessly cut together. And to uphold the quality, like a quality standard that I think everyone as an audience member can appreciate, and makes it feel like it's a big spectacle, right? Like you want to go see this in IMAX. You want to go see this in the biggest theater. Yeah. This is the first Dune movie that they're also shooting. Not all of it's shot on film. I think all the stuff on Arrakis is still being shot digitally, but everything outside of that is being shot on 65 millimeter film, both in like standard 65 and IMAX film. It's the first time Denis Villeneuve is using IMAX film. So like these are those types of movies that I want to see captured in these huge, larger than life formats and projected on the biggest screens, because like you guys are saying, they put so much attention to detail in the costumes, in the character designs, in the worlds, vehicles, weapons, everything. You want to like get the full experience watching a movie like this. So I think there's also something to be said about like modern technology is incredible, and I think a lot of filmmakers know how to use it incredibly well. I think a lot of times filmmakers or studios use it as shortcuts to just kind of get to the end product without like, you know, really meticulously crafting it to tell these really breathtaking visual stories. And I think you also just need to have like the vision to execute stuff like this. So I think that's why things like Lord of the Rings, Dune, Star Wars are these sagas of storytelling that really stand out, because a director comes in with a very, very striking vision, and it is unlike anything you've seen before. But you still see inspirations, like you still see shades of Star Wars and Star Trek and Lord of the Rings, whether it doesn't, so those are the things that I really appreciate. And Denis Villeneuve is the only psychopath that we know who uses beige screens and not green screens or blue screens.
I love it.
So I think that really helps like sell all the effects and really makes it come together, because of the way that they like shoot all the elements for these movies. Yeah, so really, really exciting.
So I want to say a few things too about the lore. Adam, did you have any other thought you wanted to touch on before I jumped the gun? I interrupted.
No, I mean, I think I was gonna. There's like some other technical stuff, but then I was gonna talk about some lore stuff. So go for it.
Just real quick, it's really great to see Anya Taylor-Joy. She briefly played the grown-up version of the baby sister, the infant child sister of Paul Atreides, who has like super psychic powers, and it's going to be cool because I don't know exactly what her role is going to be, but obviously she had basically a cameo in Dune Part 2, knowing that she was going to have a larger role in this. Robert Pattinson's character, I briefly learned about, is a sect of these humans that use bioengineering, and they're apparently hated across the rest of the Imperium because that shit is illegal or whatever. But I just want to say also right now, shout out to Matt Caron at Nerdist. Any questions about the Dune lore, go look at Nerdist. They got you covered. They'll give you the little videos. It'll be like explainers for everything you need to know. And Matt is the #1 Dune fan. Okay. He's brilliant. And then the last thing is our boy, Arrakis runs on Duncan. Duncan's back, baby. Because Duncan is cloned.
You mean Danny California?
Danny California, and he's going to be cloned in perpetuity. This is something I learned about from reading the first book and then learning about what happens later, that even though he dies in the first story, he's literally the only through line. Because here's the other thing I was going to mention that I didn't want to talk about until after this trailer. This story, Dune Messiah or Part 3, is the last time basically the whole cast of these characters will be in the story, because I think the next Dune book is a huge time jump, a generation or more, maybe like another 1,000 years or something. And yet a Duncan, Idaho is still there.
Right.
So that's the crazy thing, is like Jason Momoa went from being killed off in the first movie to, if this thing goes, he's the only returning actor. He's the only one who is going to keep getting a paycheck. And I think something happens to Paul Atreides, and he's kind of involved. But it's basically like this, I think, is the last sort of story that involves these characters at this age and in this era, in the sense. So like, will there be a fourth? I don't know. And it almost feels like I would even lean towards probably not, just because of the sort of like the investment in these actors and this cast. I mean, this is a stellar cast, that I almost feel like, what would you do for a Dune Part 4 where you would have to just be like Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, Idris Elba. Like, you'd have to get the most incredible, like Angela Bassett, just like every other amazing actor. And I don't know. I don't know, but maybe they'll do it.
All the big hitters.
Yeah, well, and even in this movie, even in Dune Messiah, there is a time jump. I'm not sure how long it is. It's long enough that the characters have aged quite significantly, but yeah, I don't know how that will be represented in the movie. I'm assuming whenever the time jump happens, or even if what we're getting glimpses of in the movie is a time jump, maybe they'll do like minimal aging on the actors. I mean, it's a science fiction world, so like, who cares? Whatever. I don't need to see them like completely aged up. But yeah, then the one after that is Children of Dune, and I have if it's an even bigger time jump, then it would make sense why they would call this the conclusion of this story.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Yeah, it really feels like Denis Villeneuve wanted to tell sort of the arc of Paul Atreides' story. So if because I think the kids that they have are Leto. Well, they mentioned the kids in the trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if there's a time jump, plus with the way that things end in Dune Part 2, it doesn't end that well. And I think it probably ends differently than the book. I have not read the book, so I don't completely know how the book ends. But I know a little bit about Dune Messiah. Is it the same? So that's also going to be interesting to see, like how Chani and Paul are sort of reunited after she goes off. And like the last thing we see of her is like going off into the desert somewhere. We don't know what happens next. So I'm excited to see that arc and that part of the story, and how Princess Irulan plays into it and all that stuff. It's such a great cast too. Like, what an incredible, amazing cast. Like I forgot that Robert Pattinson was in it. I forgot that Anya Taylor-Joy was going to have obviously like an expanded role from the second one, but you still have Florence Pugh in the mix, and Jason Momoa is back, Chalamet, Zendaya, Javier Bardem. No, Rebecca Ferguson is in it. No Josh Brolin though. I love Gurney. I love Gurney.
Oh yeah.
I'm scared and excited to see what happens to his character, not knowing from the book lore what happens to him. So I love Gurney so much. But yeah, it just looks really, really good. And it's crazy. It's crazy that in the time that we got one Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, we got a whole fucking Dune trilogy. That's nuts.
That is pretty
nuts.
wild.
So nuts.
Pretty wild.
The thing I was going to mention about the cinematography is that the cinematographer for the first two movies is the same cinematographer for the Batman and Project Hail Mary, Greg Fraser. He's not coming back to this one, probably because he's working on other films, obviously. But the cinematographer is Linus Sandgren, who worked on things like First Man. He worked on La La Land. So, I saw a clip of Denis Villeneuve talking about it in an interview, and he was saying that the third movie is very different from the first two. Like, it's got a different intensity. It's a very action-packed movie, but it's also like very, very intense by comparison. So it needed a fresh set of eyes to tell it from a sort of different visual aesthetic.
Dude,
which I'm always a sucker for. I'm like, yeah, sure. You give me any reason to bring in another great cinematographer who like wants to shoot this all on film in IMAX. Like, I'm all for it. Yeah. So it looks very striking, and I think Hans Zimmer's gonna knock it out of the park for the third time. Come on. And if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination again for the score, like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So I cannot wait.
I'm gonna get a goddamn popcorn with plain M&Ms. That is going to be a good day, dude.
Oh, that's going to be so good. So good.
Yep.
I'll be in Prague when the movie comes out. So I'm going to go straight into that theater and just be like, all right, here we go.
I live here now. Where's my apartment?
Yeah, it's going to be great. But I'm excited for us to see it and then to talk about it. And yeah, like, I think over the next few months, it'll be cool to see if Denis Villeneuve has any interest to, like, if it's going to be a movie that will potentially be a handoff to another director who wants to come in and do Children of Dune or any future books, and also how Dune Prophecy will continue to play into this story as well. I mean, it's obviously set before, cool. So there's lots of time to expand that story too. But to kind of see whether or not this Denis Villeneuve created or adapted Dune world will have a life in the future will be interesting. Or if they just go, you know what, these three, they're just kind of perfect the way they are. And if someone else comes in and wants to do Children of Dune, we'll consider that like a soft continuation, but also not a reboot necessarily, but just, you know, another iteration of Dune in some ways. I don't know. We'll see. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you are looking forward to seeing this movie, what are you looking forward to seeing? If you're a book fan, maybe be a little light on the spoilers. Like, I think a lot of people who have not read the books want to know all the details.
I spoiled a bunch of stuff. I spoiled a bunch of stuff. Sorry.
But let us know what you thought. Check out everything else we're watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.